A black teen dancer rises above bullies, stunning her school with a hip-hop win. Click like and subscribe to witness her inspiring journey in our latest video. And don't miss what's next. The gymnasium at Jefferson High School in a suburban Texas town was a whirlwind of rhythm and energy. The polished wooden floor gleaming under the fluorescent lights, the air filled with the thumping bass of pop music and the sharp claps of synchronized steps. Zuri Washington stood at the edge of the dance team's practice space, her small frame a quiet presence amidst the flurry of movement. Her black leggings and neon green tank top a bold choice that matched her vibrant spirit. Her braided hair tied into a high bun, her deep brown eyes watching the team with a mix of longing and determination. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent, her height barely reaching 5 feet 3 inches, her body slender but agile, her passion for hip-hop dance, a fire that had burned since she was a child. She had grown up watching dance videos online, mimicking the moves of street dancers and dreaming of one day leading a team. But at Jefferson High, her love for dance made her a target. The school's dance team was a symbol of prestige, its members mostly white girls who saw Zuri's style as an outsider's intrusion. Zuri was often the only black girl in her dance classes, a fact that made her an easy mark for those who thrived on exclusion. As she stretched, preparing to join the team's warm-up, a group of girls gathered near the bleachers, their voices a low hum as they watched her. Chloe Bennett, a tall, popular junior with sleek blonde hair and sharp hazel eyes, led the pack, her friends, a mix of white girls from the team, all taller and more confident than Zuri. Their laughter a constant assault. "Look at her," Chloe called, her voice sharp, her tone loud enough for Zuri to hear. "She thinks she's part of the team. What a joke." Zuri's heart sank, her hands trembling as she stretched her arms. She tried to focus on her warm-up, her determination a quiet defiance. But Chloe's voice cut through her thoughts like a blade. "She's so out of place," Chloe continued, her tone mocking. "What's she going to do? Dance like she's in some street? Well, this isn't that kind of team." Her friends laughed, their voices a chorus of scorn. Zuri's cheeks burned, her hands trembling. She wanted to fight back, to tell Chloe she was wrong, but the fear of escalating the situation, of drawing more attention, kept her silent. She turned back to her stretches, her heart aching. She just wanted to dance in peace, to be part of the team. But Chloe wasn't done, her voice a relentless assault. "Where'd you even get that outfit?" she said, her tone sharp. "Did you steal it from a thrift store? It's tacky." Zuri's throat tightened, her voice barely a whisper. "I'm here to dance," she said, her words a quiet plea. "I'm not hurting anyone." Chloe's laugh was loud, her voice a mix of amusement and contempt. "Dance?" she said, her tone mocking. "You? You don't belong here. You're not one of us." The group laughed harder, their voices a mix of amusement and scorn. One of the girls, a slender blonde named Madison, stepped closer. "Yeah, go back to where you came from," she said, her tone sharp. "This team is for real dancers." The other girls in the team glanced over, their whispers a mix of curiosity and discomfort. "She's just trying to fit in," a girl in a cheerleader uniform murmured. "They're being awful to her friend replied. But no one intervened, their silence a weight on Zuri's shoulders. She felt alone, her shame a heavy burden, her passion for dance a double-edged sword. It was her joy, her escape, but it also made her a target. The gymnasium was Zuri's dream stage, a place where she longed to shine. But even here, she wasn't safe. Chloe's group grew bolder, their taunts escalating as they moved closer to the practice space. Madison grabbed a nearby water bottle, Zuri's, and squirted it onto the floor where Zuri was stretching, creating a slick puddle. "Oops," she said, her tone mocking. "Guess you'll have to dance on a wet floor now." Zuri's heart raced, her hands trembling. "That's mine," she said, her voice steady despite the fear. "Stop it." Madison laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and contempt. "Make me," she challenged, her tone a taunt. Chloe smirked, her voice sharp. "She won't," she said, She's too small, too weird. She doesn't belong here. The group closed in, their presence a looming threat. One of the other girls, a tall brunette named Ashley, pushes Zuri's dance bag off the bench, its contents spilling onto the floor. Oops, she said, her tone mocking. Guess you'll have to pick that up now. Zuri dropped to her knees, her heart racing as she gathered her belongings. Stop it, she shouted, her voice breaking with frustration. I'm just trying to dance. Chloe laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and malice. Dance? She said, her tone icy. You're a joke. You don't fit in here. The group laughed, their voices a relentless assault. The other students in the gym continued to whisper, their voices a mix of curiosity and discomfort. She's just trying to dance, a boy in a soccer jersey murmured. They're going too far, his friend replied. But no one intervened. Zuri felt their stares, a weight she couldn't escape, her shame a heavy burden. But she held on to her passion, her dream, the rhythm in her soul that kept her going. I'll show them, she thought, her voice a quiet whisper in her mind, a resolve that gave her strength. The tension in the gymnasium was palpable, the air thick with the weight of Chloe's malice. Zuri's heart raced, her mind racing. She didn't know how much longer she could endure this, how much more she could take. But she knew a moment of reckoning was coming. A moment that would push her to her breaking point. A moment that would test her strength, her truth, her very identity. The dance studio at Jefferson High School was a space of rhythm and precision, its mirrored walls reflecting the synchronized movements of the dance team. The air filled with the pulsing beat of a pop song and the sharp echoes of sneakers on the hardwood floor. Zuri Washington stood at the back of the formation, her small frame barely noticeable amidst the taller girls. Her black leggings and neon green tank top, a bold statement of her individuality. Her braided hair tied into a high bun. Her deep brown eyes focused as she followed the choreography. Her movements sharp and fluid despite the tension in her chest. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent, her height a modest 5 feet 3 inches, her passion for hip-hop dance, a vibrant thread woven into her identity. But at Jefferson High, that passion made her a target. The dance team was a bastion of popularity, its members mostly white girls who saw Zuri's presence as an anomaly. Zuri was the only black girl on the team, a fact that made her an easy mark for those who clung to their exclusivity. As the team moved through their routine, a group of girls at the front began to whisper, their voices a low hum beneath the music. Chloe Bennett, the team's de facto leader, led the group, her sleek blonde hair pulled into a tight ponytail, her hazel eyes glinting with disdain. Her friends, Madison, Ashley, and a girl named Lauren, followed her lead. Their laughter a constant undercurrent. Look at her, Chloe called, her voice sharp, her tone loud enough for Zuri to hear over the music. She thinks she can keep up. What a joke. Zuri's heart sank, her hands trembling as she executed a spin. She tried to focus on the beat, her determination a quiet defiance. But Chloe's voice cut through her concentration like a knife. She's so out of sync, Chloe continued, her tone mocking. What's she doing? Some kind of street dance? This isn't that kind of team. Her friends laughed, their voices a chorus of scorn. Zuri's cheeks burned, her hands trembling. She wanted to fight back, to tell Chloe she was wrong. But the fear of escalating the situation, of drawing more attention, kept her silent. She turned back to the routine, her heart aching. She just wanted to dance in peace, to be part of the team. But Chloe wasn't done, her voice a relentless assault. Why are you even here, she said, her tone sharp. You don't fit in. Go find some other place to do your little moves. The group laughed harder, their voices a mix of amusement and contempt. Madison stepped forward, her voice mocking. Yeah, Zuri, she said. Maybe you should stick to dancing in your neighborhood. This team is for real dancers. The other girls in the team glanced over, their whispers a mix of curiosity and discomfort. She's not that bad, a girl named Emily murmured. They're being awful to her, her friend replied. But no one intervened. Their silence a weight on Zuri's shoulders. She felt alone, her shame a heavy burden, her passion for dance a double-edged sword. It was her joy, her escape, but it also made her a target. The dance studio was Zuri's dream space, a place where she longed to shine. But even here, she wasn't safe. Chloe's group grew bolder, their taunts escalating as the practice continued. Lauren, a tall girl with a sharp smile, stepped closer to Zuri during a break. "Hey, Zuri," she called, her voice sharp. She grabbed Zuri's water bottle from the bench and shook it, splashing the contents onto Zuri's tank top. "Oops," she said, her tone mocking. "Guess you'll have to dance all wet now." Zuri's heart raced, her hands trembling. "That's mine," she said, her voice steady despite the rising panic. "Stop it!" Lauren laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and contempt. "Make me," she challenged, her tone a taunt. Chloe smirked, her voice sharp. "She won't," she said. "She's too small, too weird. She doesn't belong here." The group closed in, their presence a looming threat. Ashley, another girl in the group, grabbed Zuri's dance bag and tossed it across the room, its contents spilling onto the floor. "Oops," she said, her tone mocking. "Guess you'll have to pick that up now." Zuri dropped to her knees, her heart racing as she gathered her belongings. "Stop it," she shouted, her voice breaking with frustration. "I'm just trying to dance." Chloe laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and malice. "Dance?" she said, her tone icy. "You're a joke. You don't fit in here." The group laughed, their voices a relentless assault. The other girls in the team continued to whisper, their voices a mix of curiosity and discomfort. "She's just trying to keep up," a girl named Sarah murmured. "They're going too far," her friend replied, but no one intervened. Their silence a weight on Zuri's shoulders. She felt alone, her shame a heavy burden. But she held on to her passion, her dream, the rhythm in her soul that kept her going. "I'll show them," she thought, her voice a quiet whisper in her mind, a resolve that gave her strength. The tension in the dance studio was palpable, the air thick with the weight of Chloe's malice. Zuri's heart raced, her mind racing. She didn't know how much longer she could endure this, how much more she could take. But she knew a moment of reckoning was coming. A moment that would push her to her breaking point. A moment that would test her strength, her truth, her very identity. The locker room at Jefferson High School, there was a flurry of activity after dance practice. The air thick with the scent of sweat and hairspray. The chatter of the team echoing off the tiled walls. Zuri Washington stood by her locker, her small frame a quiet shadow amidst the bustle. Her black leggings and neon green tank top now damp from the water Lauren had splashed on her. Her braided hair still tied in a high bun. Her deep brown eyes clouded with a mix of frustration and resolve. Her hands carefully folded her dance gear into her bag. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent. Her height a modest 5 feet 3 inches. Her passion for hip-hop dance a vibrant force that defined her. But at Jefferson High, that passion made her a target. The dance team was a tight-knit group, its members mostly white girls who saw Zuri's presence as a threat to their status quo. Zuri was the only black girl on the team, a fact that made her an easy mark for those who clung to their privilege. As she packed her bag, a group of girls gathered near the benches, their voices a low hum as they watched her. Chloe Bennett, the team's unofficial leader, stood at the center, her sleek blonde hair now loose, her hazel eyes glinting with a cruel amusement. Her friends, Madison, Ashley, and Lauren, flanked her, their laughter a constant undercurrent. "Look at her," Chloe called, her voice sharp, her tone loud enough for Zuri to hear. "She's still here, like she thinks she's actual part of the team." Zuri's heart sank, her hands trembling as she zipped her bag. She tried to focus on her task, her determination a quiet defiance, but Chloe's voice sliced through her thoughts like a razor. "She's so pathetic," Chloe continued, her tone mocking. "Does she really think she can dance like us?" She's a total misfit. Her friends laughed, their voices a chorus of scorn. Zuri's cheeks burned, her hands trembling. She wanted to fight back, to tell Chloe she was wrong by then, but the fear of escalating the situation, of drawing more attention, kept her silent. She turned back to her locker, her heart aching. She just wanted to dance in peace, to be part of the team. But Chloe wasn't done, her voice a relentless assault. "You don't belong here, Zuri," she said, her tone sharp. "Why don't you quit already? You're embarrassing yourself." The group laughed harder, their voices a mix of amusement and contempt. The tension escalated as Chloe's group grew bolder, their actions more vicious. Madison stepped forward. "Hey, Zuri," she called, her voice sharp. She grabbed Zuri's dance shoes from her bag and tossed them into a nearby trash can. "Oops," she said, her tone mocking. "Guess you'll have to dance barefoot now." Zuri's heart raced, her hands trembling. "Those are my shoes," she said, her voice steady despite the rising panic. "Give them back." Madison laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and contempt. "Make me," she challenged, her tone a taunt. Chloe smirked, her voice sharp. "She won't," she said. "She's too small, too pathetic. She doesn't belong here." The group closed in, their presence a suffocating threat. Ashley took it further. "Let's see how she dances without her music," she said, her voice sharp. She grabbed Zuri's phone from the bench, where Zuri had been playing her hip-hop playlist, and tossed it into a sink, turning on the faucet to let water pour over it. "Oops," she said, her tone mocking. "Guess your ghetto beats are all wet now." Zuri's breath caught, her voice breaking with frustration. "Stop it," she shouted, her voice a plea. "That's my phone. You can't do that." Chloe laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and malice. "We just did," she said, her tone icy. "You don't belong here. You're a joke." The group laughed, their voices a relentless assault. Lauren added it to the cruelty. "Let's make sure everyone knows," she said, her voice sharp. She grabbed a marker and wrote "wannabe" on Zuri's locker. "There," she said, her tone mocking. "Now everyone knows what you are." The other girls in the locker room glanced over, their whispers a mix of curiosity and discomfort. "She's just trying to pack up," a girl named Emily murmured. "They're going too far," her friend replied, but no one intervened. Their silence a weight on Zuri's shoulders. She felt alone, her shame a heavy burden, her passion for dance a double-edged sword. It was her joy, her escape, but it also made her a target. The locker room was Zuri's backstage, a place where she prepared to shine, but now it was a battlefield. Chloe's group wasn't finished, their actions escalating as they surrounded Zuri. Chloe stepped forward, her tone sharp. "You're not in the next performance," she said, her voice cold. "I told coach you're not ready. You're out of the lineup." Zuri's heart sank, her hands trembling. "That's not fair," she said, her voice breaking. "I've been practicing. I deserve to be there." Chloe smirked, her voice sharp. "Deserve?" she said, her tone mocking. "You don't deserve anything. You're not one of us." The group laughed, their voices a chorus of contempt. The other girls in the locker room continued to whisper, their voices a mix of curiosity and discomfort. "She's been working so hard," a girl named Sarah murmured. "They're going too far," her friend replied. But no one intervened. Zuri felt their stares, a weight she couldn't escape, her shame a heavy burden. But she held on to her resolve. The pain of Chloe's cruelty a searing wound, but also a spark. She would prove them wrong, not just for herself, but for every kid who had ever been told they didn't belong. "I'll show them," she thought, her voice a quiet whisper in her mind, a resolve that gave her strength. The tension in the locker room was palpable, the air thick with the weight of Chloe's malice. Zuri's heart raced, her mind racing. She didn't know how much longer she could endure this, how much more she could take. But she knew a moment of reckoning was coming, a moment that would push her to her breaking point, a moment that would test her strength, her truth, her very identity. The community center on the outskirts of Zuri, Washington's Texas town was a modest haven of creativity, its weathered brick walls covered in vibrant murals, the air filled with the rhythmic pulse of music spilling from an open window. Zuri stood outside the center, her small frame a bundle of determination, her black leggings and neon green tank top now paired with a lightweight jacket, her braided hair still tied in a high bun, her deep brown eyes reflecting a mix of resolve and lingering hurt. Her hands clutched a small notebook filled with dance ideas. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent, her height a modest 5 feet 3 inches, her passion for hip-hop dance a lifeline in the face of rejection. The recent events at Jefferson High, being mocked, having her shoes thrown in the trash, and being excluded from the team's performance had left her wounded, but they had also ignited a fire within her. She was determined to prove her worth, not just to Chloe and her clique, but to herself. As she stepped inside, the community center buzzed with activity, kids of all ages practicing various forms of dance, their laughter and chatter a stark contrast to the hostility at school. Zuri scanned the room, her heart racing as she spotted a familiar figure, a tall, muscular man with dark skin and a graying beard. His presence commanding yet warm. He was Jamal Rhythm Jackson, a retired street dance legend who had once dominated the hip-hop scene in the 90s, now a volunteer coach at the center. "Zuri," Jamal called, his voice deep and welcoming, his smile broad as he waved her over. "I heard you were coming. Good to see you." Zuri's heart lifted, her voice steady. "Hi, Mr. Jackson," she said, her tone warm. I need your help." Jamal's eyes softened, his voice gentle. "I heard about what happened at school," he said, his tone understanding. "Those girls were wrong to treat you like that. You've got every right to dance, and I'm here to help you shine." Zuri's eyes glistened with emotion, her voice breaking. "They don't think I belong," she said, her tone raw. "They said my style doesn't fit. They won't even let me perform." Jamal placed a hand on her shoulder, his voice firm. "They're wrong," he said, his tone a promise. "Your style is your strength. It's your story, your culture, and we're going to make them see that." Zuri nodded, her heart racing. "I want to create something new," she said, her voice steady. "A dance that shows who I am, something they can't ignore." Jamal's smile widened, his voice warm. "That's the spirit," he said. "Let's get to work." The community center's dance studio was a small, mirrored room with a worn wooden floor, the air filled with the beat of a hip-hop track Jamal had chosen. "This is where I trained when I was your age," he said, his tone nostalgic. "I was an outsider too. People told me I'd never make it, but I turned my roots into my power." Zuri listened, her heart soaring. "What did you do?" she asked, her voice curious. Jamal's eyes shone. "I created a style that was mine," he said. "I mixed hip-hop with African rhythms, my heritage, my story, and it changed everything." Zuri's mind raced, her voice steady. "I want to do that," she said. "I want to mix my roots into my dance, show them what I can do." Jamal nodded, his voice encouraging. "Then let's start," he said. "Show me what you've got." Zuri took a deep breath, her small frame moving to the beat, her movements sharp and powerful, her hips swaying to the rhythm, her arms cutting through the air with precision. Jamal watched, his eyes narrowing with focus. "Good," he said. Show up, I said, "Yeah, I already said," his tone warm. "You've got the foundation. Now let's add some flavor." He introduced her to African dance steps, rhythmic stomps, fluid hand gestures, the energy of celebration. "This is from the Yoruba tradition," he said, his voice proud. "It's about twai, about community. Let's weave it into your hip-hop." Zuri followed his lead, her body adapting to the new moves, her heart racing with excitement. She combined the stomps with her hip-hop spins, the hand gestures with her sharp pops. The result, a fusion that felt alive, a dance that told her story. "That's it," Jamal said, his voice encouraging. You're creating something powerful. Keep going. Zuri trained with Jamal every day after school, her small frame growing stronger, her movements more confident. She poured her pain into her dance, the rejection, the taunts, the exclusion, turning it into fuel. You're not just dancing, Jamal said one day, his tone warm. You're speaking. Your body's telling a story, and they'll have to listen. Zuri smiled, her heart full. Thanks, but Jackson, she said, so her voice steady. I'm ready to show them. But back at school, the cruelty persisted. Chloe and her group continued their taunts. Where have you been, Zuri? Chloe called during practice, her voice sharp. Off pretending you're a real dancer. You're still not in the lineup. Zuri's heart raced, her hands trembling. I'm working on something new, she said, her voice steady. You'll see, Chloe laughed, her voice a mix of amusement and contempt. New, she said, her tone mocking. You'll never be good enough. You don't belong here. The group laughed, their voices a relentless assault. The other girls in the team glanced over, their whispers a mix of curiosity and discomfort. She's been gone a lot, Emily murmured. Maybe she's up to something, her friend replied. But no one intervened, their silence a weight on Zuri's shoulders. She felt alone, her shame a heavy burden, but she held on to her resolve. Jamal's guidance a beacon. Keep dancing, Zuri, he'd said, his voice a quiet encouragement, a mantra that gave her strength. The tension at Jefferson High was palpable, the air thick with the weight of Chloe's malice. Zuri's heart raced, her mind racing. She didn't know how much longer she could endure this, how much more she could take. But she knew a moment of reckoning was coming, a moment that would push her to her breaking point, a moment that would test her strength, her truth, her very identity. The massive auditorium of the Texas State Dance Championship in Austin was a whirlwind of energy, its expansive stage illuminated by vibrant spotlights, the air electric with the thumping beat of music and the roar of an enthusiastic crowd. Zuri Washington stood backstage with the Jefferson High Dance team, her small frame a beacon of determination, her black and gold hip-hop outfit a bold reflection of her newfound confidence, her braided hair tied into a high bun, her deep brown eyes blazing with a fierce resolve. Her hands adjusted her outfit, her heart pounding with a mix of nerves and excitement. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent, her height a modest 5 feet 3 inches, her passion for hip-hop dance a vibrant force that had carried her through months of adversity. The bullying from Chloe and her clique, mocking her style, ruining her belongings, and excluding her from performances, had only fueled her determination. With the guidance of Jamal Rhythm Jackson, a retired street dance legend, Zuri had created a groundbreaking routine that fused African rhythms with hip-hop, a dance that told her story. Tonight, she would lead her team in the state finals, a chance to prove she belonged. The auditorium was packed with teams from across Texas, their uniforms a kaleidoscope of colors, the crowd buzzing with anticipation as the announcer's voice boomed. Next up, Jefferson High School with their hip-hop performance. The crowd cheered, their voices a wave of excitement. Zuri took a deep breath, her small frame stepping into the spotlight as the team took their positions. Chloe and her group, Madison, Ashley, and Lauren, stood in formation, their faces a mix of skepticism and unease. Chloe had reluctantly allowed Zuri back into the lineup after Coach insisted. She's been practicing, Coach had said, her tone firm, but Chloe's hazel eyes glinted with malice. She'll mess this up, she'd whispered to Madison, her voice sharp. The music began, a pulsating beat that blended the deep drums of Yoruba tradition with the sharp snares of hip-hop. Zuri led the team, her movements a powerful fusion, her body swaying to the rhythm, her arms slicing through the air with precision. The team followed her lead, their steps a mix of classic hip-hop and African stomps, the energy of celebration woven into every move. The crowd gasped, their voices a mix of shock and awe. What is this? A spectator in a red jacket whispered. It's incredible, Zuko, her friend replied. Zuri's dance was a story, her story of resilience, of culture, of belonging. Her small frame moved with a power that belied her size, her team syncing with her energy. Even Chloe couldn't deny the impact, her jaw tightening as the crowd's cheers grew louder. The routine built to a crescendo, Zuri executing a series of spins and jumps that showcased her agility, the African hand gestures blending seamlessly with hip-hop pops, the team ending in a dramatic pose. Zuri at the center, her arms raised, her expression fierce. The auditorium erupted, the crowd leaping to their feet, their applause a deafening wave. "That was amazing," a boy in the front row shouted. "They've got my vote," his friend replied. The judges scribbled furiously, their faces a mix of admiration and surprise. Chloe's group stood frozen, their faces pale. She, she led that?" Madison stammered, her voice a whisper. Ashley shook her head. "I can't believe it," she muttered, her tone grudging. Chloe's eyes narrowed, her voice sharp. "She got lucky," she said, her tone bitter. But the crowd's cheers drowned her out, their voices a testament to Zuri's triumph. Zuri's heart soared, her chest heaving with exertion, her eyes glistening with tears of joy. She had done it. She had led her team in a performance that no one could ignore. The announcer returned, his voice booming. "What a performance from Jefferson High," he said. "Let's see the scores." The judges deliberated, the tension palpable as the scores flashed on the screen: 9.8, 9.9, 10.0, the highest of the night. The auditorium exploded again, the crowd chanting, "Jefferson! Jefferson!" Their voices a wave of support. Zuri's teammates surrounded her, their faces a mix of shock and admiration. "You were incredible, Zuri," Emily shouted, her voice warm. Even Chloe's clique couldn't deny the victory, their silence a grudging acknowledgement. Coach approached, her eyes shining with pride. "Zuri, you led us to a win," she said, her voice warm. "I knew you had it in you." Zuri smiled, her heart full. "Thank you, Coach," she said, her voice steady. "I just wanted to show who I am." The crowd continued to cheer, their voices a testament to her impact. Jamal Rhythm Jackson watched from the stands, his graying beard framing a wide smile. "That's my girl," he murmured, his voice thick with emotion. Zuri had turned her pain into power, her exclusion into a celebration of her identity. The team was announced as the state champions, a trophy handed to Zuri as the crowd roared. "You're a star," a spectator shouted. "You made history," another added. Zuri held the trophy high, her small frame a symbol of resilience, her mind soaring. She knew this was a turning point, a moment that would define her future, a moment that affirmed her strength, her truth, her very identity. She had faced her tormentors, faced their rejection, and now she stood tall, a young woman who belonged, not because she conformed, but because she had dared to be herself. A moment of victory had arrived, a moment that would change everything, a moment that showed the world she was more than enough. The gymnasium at Jefferson High School buzzed with a renewed energy in the days following the Texas State Dance Championship, the polished wooden floor now a symbol of triumph, the air filled with the hum of excitement and the faint echo of victory chants. Zuri Washington stood near the bleachers, her small frame a beacon of newfound respect. Her black leggings and neon green tank top now paired with a team jacket embroidered with state champions, her braided hair tied in a high bun, her deep brown eyes glowing with pride, her hands clutching a small trophy, a miniature version of the one the team had won, her heart still racing from the whirlwind of the past week. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent, her journey from a bullied outsider to a celebrated dancer, a story that had reshaped the school's culture. Her groundbreaking routine at the state finals, a fusion of African rhythms and hip-hop, had not only led Jefferson High to victory, but had also exposed the deep-seated biases within the team. The school's administration had taken notice, and today, they would address the fallout. Principal Carter, a tall woman with a no-nonsense demeanor, stood at the center of the gym, her gray suit a stark contrast to the colorful team jackets around her voice echoing through a microphone. Students, faculty, we're here to celebrate our dance team's state championship, she announced, her tone firm but warm. The crowd of students and parents gathered in the gym cheered, their voices a wave of support, but Carter's expression turned serious. However, she continued, we must also address the allegations of bullying and discrimination within the team. The crowd fell silent, their eyes turning to Zuri, then to Chloe Bennett and her group, Madison, Ashley, and Lauren, who stood near the edge of the gym, their faces pale, their usual confidence replaced by unease. Chloe's blonde hair was pulled into a tight ponytail, her hazel eyes darting nervously. An investigation has been conducted, Carter said, her voice steady. We've heard from multiple team members, reviewed reports, and confirmed that Zuri Washington faced significant mistreatment, exclusion, harassment, and sabotage because of her race and dance style. The crowd murmured, their voices a mix of shock and discomfort. That's awful, a boy in a soccer jersey whispered. They treated her so badly, his friend replied. Zuri's heart raced, her hands trembling as she listened. Principal Carter turned to Chloe and her group, her voice sharp. Chloe Bennett, Madison Hayes, Ashley Turner, Lauren Brooks, you have been found responsible for this behavior, she said, her tone final. Effective immediately, you are suspended from the team for the remainder of the semester, and you'll be required to attend mandatory diversity training. Chloe's jaw dropped, her hands trembling. Suspended? She stammered, her voice quivering. But we're the best dancers! Madison stepped forward, her voice desperate. This isn't fair, she said, her tone shaky. She doesn't even belong here. Carter's eyes narrowed, her voice firm. Enough, she said, her tone a command. Your actions were unacceptable. You targeted Zuri because of her race, and that will not be tolerated at Jefferson High. The crowd murmured, their voices a mix of support and agreement. They got what they deserved. A girl in a cheerleader uniform whispered. Zuri deserves better, her friend replied. Carter turned to Zuri, her expression softening. Zuri Washington, she said, her voice warm. I owe you an apology. We failed to protect you, and I'm sorry, Marha. Your talent and leadership brought us this championship, and I'm proud to announce that you are the new team captain. The crowd erupted, their cheers a deafening wave. Zuri! Zuri! They chanted, their voices a testament to her triumph. Zuri's heart soared, her eyes glistening with tears of relief. Thank you, she said, her voice steady. I just wanted to dance and to show that we all belong. Coach Davis stepped forward, her eyes shining with pride. Zuri, you've shown us what true leadership looks like, she said, her tone warm. We're honored to have you as our captain. The team surrounded Zuri, their faces a mix of admiration and respect. You're amazing, Zuri, Emily shouted, her voice warm. Even Chloe's clique couldn't deny the shift, their silence a grudging acknowledgement. The school's reaction marked a turning point. The investigation had revealed months of bullying, documented by teammates who had witnessed Zuri's mistreatment. Chloe and her group faced further consequences, including community service and a written apology to Zuri. The dance team became a space of inclusivity, its members now embracing diversity. We're better with you, Sarah. A teammate said, her voice warm. Zuri smiled. We're better together, she replied, her tone steady. She started incorporating more diverse styles into the team's routines, encouraging members to explore their own cultural influences. Dance is for everyone, she'd say, her voice clear. Her words resonated, the team growing stronger with each practice. Zuri's leadership extended beyond the team. She organized a Dance for Unity workshop, inviting local dance groups to share their styles. The gym packed with students and families. We're stronger when we celebrate our differences, Zuri said in her opening speech, her voice echoing through the space, The crowd cheered, their voices a testament to her impact. Jamal Rhythm Jackson watched from the sidelines, his eyes shining with pride. "You've done it, kid," he said, his voice warm. Zuri smiled. "I had the best teacher," she replied, her tone steady. The tension that had once defined Jefferson High was gone, replaced by a sense of community. Zuri's heart raced with pride, her mind soaring. She knew this was just the beginning, that there would be more challenges, more stages to conquer. But she was ready, ready to face them with the strength she'd found, the strength that had carried her from a place of rejection to a position of leadership. A moment of justice had arrived, a moment that would shape her future, a moment that affirmed her strength, her truth, her very identity. Wow, the dance studio at Jefferson High School had become a sanctuary of unity, its mirrored walls reflecting the vibrant energy of a newly transformed team. The air filled with the rhythmic pulse of music and the laughter of dancers. Zuri Washington stood at the center of the room, her small frame a commanding presence, her black leggings and neon green tank top now complemented by a captain's armband, her braided hair tied in a high bun, her deep brown eyes alight with a quiet confidence that had blossomed since her championship victory. Her hands clapped to the beat as she led the team through a warm-up. Zuri was a 16-year-old sophomore of African descent, her journey from a bullied outsider to the team captain, a story that had reshaped the school's culture. Her groundbreaking routine at the Texas State Dance Championship, a fusion of African rhythms and hip-hop, had not only led Jefferson High to victory, but had also sparked a movement of inclusivity. As she guided the team, the memory of her triumph still fueled her. "You're a star, Zuri," Coach Davis had said after the championship, her words a spark that ignited Zuri's leadership. The school had changed since that victory. Chloe and her group, Madison, Ashley, and Lauren, had been disciplined. Their suspension and mandatory diversity training a clear message that bullying would not be tolerated. Principal Carter had doubled down on anti-bullying initiatives, and the dance team had become a space of acceptance. Zuri's leadership, a beacon for change. As the team moved through their warm-up, a familiar voice called out, "Looking good, Captain." Emily said, her tone warm, her smile genuine as she followed Zuri's lead. Zuri's heart lifted, her voice steady. "Thanks, Emily," she replied, her tone warm. "Let's make this routine our best yet." The team nodded, their faces a mix of determination and respect. Even Chloe's clique, now reinstated after their suspension, had softened. "You're not bad, Zuri," Madison had muttered one day, her tone reluctant. Zuri had smiled. "We're better together," she'd replied, her tone steady. The moment a small victory. Zuri's confidence had blossomed. Her once hesitant demeanor now a quiet authority. She became a leader in her own way, introducing diverse dance styles to the team. "Let's try some Afrobeat today," she'd say, her tone encouraging. "It's all about Wasai and community." Her words resonated, the team embracing the new moves with enthusiasm. "This is so fun," Sarah shouted, her voice bright. Zuri smiled. "It's our heritage," she replied, her tone steady. Her influence spread beyond the team. Students who had once ignored her now sought her out. "You've changed the team," a freshman named Lila said, her voice soft. "I thought I'd never fit in, but you showed me I can." Zuri listened, her heart full. "You belong here," she said. "We all do." The school continued to evolve, the anti-bullying initiatives fostering a sense of community. Zuri organized a Rhythm of Diversity showcase, inviting dance teams from neighboring schools to perform, the gym packed with students and families. "Dance connects us," Zuri said in her opening speech, her voice echoing through the space. The crowd cheered, their voices a testament to her impact. Coach Davis watched from the sidelines, her eyes shining with pride. "You're a natural leader, Zuri," she said, her voice warm. Zuri smiled. "I learned from the best," she replied, her tone steady. Their bond a source of strength. Zuri's leadership extended beyond the school. She started a Dance for All program at the community center with Jamal Rhythm Jackson, offering free hip-hop classes to kids from marginalized communities. You don't have to be perfect to dance, she'd tell them, her tone warm. You just have to feel the rhythm. The kids looked up to her, their eyes shining with admiration. I want to dance like you, a young girl named Aaliyah said, her voice soft. Zuri smiled. You'll dance even better, she replied, her tone steady. Her work with the program earned her a Youth Leadership Award. You're an inspiration, the center director said at the ceremony, her tone warm. Zuri accepted the award, her heart full. I just want to give back, she replied, her tone steady. Her influence continued to grow. She started a YouTube channel, Zuri's Rhythm Hub, sharing her dance routines and stories of resilience. Her videos went viral. You're amazing. A commenter wrote, You've given me courage to dance. Another added, Zuri's heart soared with each message, her dream of making a difference now a reality. Jamal watched her growth with pride. You've taken it further than I ever did, but he said one day, his voice warm. Zuri smiled. You showed me the way, she replied, her tone steady, their bond a testament to mentorship. Zuri's confidence was a shield, but also a bridge. She joined the school's diversity council, advocating for more cultural events. We need to celebrate everyone, she'd say, her tone clear. Her words resonated, the council organizing a cultural festival that brought the school together. You've changed us, Principal Carter said, her voice warm. Zuri nodded. I just wanted to dance, she replied, her tone steady. The tension that had once defined Jefferson High was gone, replaced by a sense of unity. Zuri's heart raced with pride, her mind soaring. She knew this was just the beginning, that there would be more challenges, more stages to conquer, but she was ready. Ready to face them with the strength she'd found, the strength that had carried her from a place of rejection to a position of inspiration. A moment of empowerment had arrived, a moment that would shape her future, a moment that affirmed her strength, her truth, her very identity. The prestigious stage of the Joffrey Ballet Academy in Chicago shimmered under the spotlight, its sleek black floor a canvas for artistry, the air filled with the murmur of an elite audience and the faint hum of anticipation. Zuri Washington stood at the center of the stage, a microphone in her hand, her small frame now a commanding presence, her elegant black leotard accented with gold embroidery, a tribute to her cultural roots, her braided hair styled in an intricate updo, her deep brown eyes glowing with the radiant joy that had grown through years of perseverance. She was no longer the timid sophomore from Jefferson High. She was Zuri Washington, a rising star in the dance world. Her name on the program a testament to her journey. The audience waited eagerly, their applause a warm welcome as she began to speak. Thank you, everyone, Zuri said, her voice confident and clear. I'm Zuri Washington, and I'm honored to be here tonight. The crowd cheered, their voices a wave of anticipation. Zuri's journey to the stage had been paved with challenges, but her love for dance had carried her through. I used to think being different meant I had to hide, she said, her tone reflective. But then I realized, different is my power, my culture is my strength, and dance is how I share it with the world. The audience applauded, their delight a testament to her impact. Zuri continued, her speech a blend of gratitude and inspiration. I grew up facing rejection, not for my talent, but for who I was, she said, her voice steady. Kids at school told me I didn't belong, but I had a mentor, Jamal Rhythm Jackson, who taught me to turn my roots into my wings, and I soared. The crowd cheered, their voices a mix of awe and admiration. Jamal sat in the front row, his graying beard framing a proud smile, his eyes shining as he watched his protege shine. Zuri had come a long way since her days at Jefferson High. Her victory at the Texas State Dance Championship had been a turning point. The school's transformation after her win had given her a foundation to grow. The anti-bullying initiatives had fostered a culture of kindness, and the dance team had become a family. "You're a natural leader," Coach Davis had said after her first practice as captain. Her words a spark that ignited Zuri's ambition. Zuri had poured herself into dance, creating new routines that celebrated diversity. Performing at every school event, her confidence growing with each step. She started a YouTube channel, Zuri's Dance Diaries, sharing her choreography and stories of resilience. Her videos went viral. "She's incredible," a commenter wrote. "She's changing the game." Hussein, another, added. Zuri's heart soared with each message, her dream of making a difference now a tangible reality. Jamal had remained her biggest mentor. "You're taking it global, kid," he'd say after every milestone, his voice a steady encouragement. He connected her with industry contacts. "You've got to audition for the Joffrey," he'd said, his tone warm. That connection had led to Zuri's big break, a full scholarship to the Joffrey Ballet Academy. One of the most prestigious dance programs in the country, she had spent her final high school years training, her routine at the academy a reflection of her journey. "I used to think I didn't belong," she told the audience, her voice steady. "But I learned that belonging isn't about fitting in. It's about standing out. It's about sharing your story, your rhythm, your light." The crowd cheered, their applause a testament to her impact. Zuri's speech ended to a standing ovation, the audience chanting her name. "Zuri! Zuri!" Their voices a wave of love. She took a bow, her heart full, her mind soaring. She had done it. She had turned her pain into art, her rejection into triumph. Off stage, Jamal pulled her into a tight hug. "I knew you'd make it," he said, his voice thick with emotion. Zuri smiled, her eyes glistening. "Thanks, Mr. Jackson," she said, her tone steady. "I owe it to you." Jamal shook his head. "You did this," he said. "I just helped you see it." The academy marked the beginning of Zuri's rise. She was soon invited to choreograph for national dance festivals, her name becoming synonymous with innovation and diversity. She launched a nonprofit, Dance Roots, to support young dancers from marginalized communities. "Your culture is your power," she'd tell them, her tone warm. "Don't let anyone take that away." Her words echoed her own journey. Her nonprofit hosted workshops, dance camps, and showcases, giving kids a stage to shine. "You're the future," Zuri said at one event, her voice echoing through a packed venue. The crowd cheered, their voices a testament to her impact. Years later, Zuri stood on the stage of a global dance summit in New York. A different audience, a different city, but the same message. "I was told I didn't belong," she said, her voice steady. "But I learned that belonging is about creating your own space, about lifting others up, about dancing to your own rhythm, no matter the odds." The audience stood, their applause a testament to her legacy. Zuri took a bow, her eyes shining with tears of joy. She felt powerful, unstoppable, a force, and as she stepped off the stage, her family and friends waiting in the wings, their smiles radiant. Zuri knew this was her destiny, that there would be more challenges, more stages to conquer. But she was ready, ready to face them with the strength she'd forged, the strength that had carried her from a school of rejection to a world of dance. Zuri had turned her struggle into a legacy, her story into a movement, and in doing so, she had shown the world that she belonged, that she mattered, that she could shine on. Zuri turned rejection into a dance legacy, becoming a global inspiration for diversity. Thanks for joining us. If her story uplifted you, hit that like, share with others, and subscribe with the bell on for more amazing tales of passion and triumph.